Hello, folks. How are you doing? How are you really doing? Uh, I thought I'd come on and do a bit of a check-in and see how you are. It's been a while since I've done a poll on the group, so I'm going to post a poll very shortly just to see how you are coping. And if you're in England, it is the eve of the second lockdown, and there's all sorts of other stuff going on in the world. There's the US election, which is on a knife edge, which may be affecting your well-being. There's the climate breakdown happening, the crisis of meaning, the mental health crisis, political divisiveness, social tensions, racial tensions. So lots of sources of considerable anxiety, uncertainty, which is really hard for many of us to cope with. Stress, fear, depression coming along, isolation, loneliness, feelings of anger, maybe a sense of helplessness and despair, and maybe a lot of practical and financial concerns around, if you run a business or if you're losing your job, maybe you've got to look after children and juggle a lot of balls. It's a tough time for many of us. So yeah, here we are in autumn, coming into winter, and maybe the season of hibernating. And presuming the lockdown does go ahead tomorrow in England, then maybe we're going to be forcibly hibernating. So how is that for you? Is that a cozy thought? Is it a very isolating and lonely thought? Is it depressing, the fact that this is going on for an unspecified period of time? So do take part in the poll. Let me know, and let's just share how we're feeling. We can support one another, reach out, talk about what's going on for you. Whatever you're feeling, it's valid. So sometimes we have difficult feelings and we try and push them away. We don't acknowledge them. But actually, I think it's really useful to talk about how we're really feeling and share that. And other people can support you, they can validate you, and just expressing it. Sharing is caring, and getting in touch with our emotions is really a validating thing to do, I feel. So if you're not okay, that is okay. And this is a safe space for you to be able to express that. So personally, I'm trying to seek balance at the moment. So trying to juggle all the balls, as many of us are, with work, some deep work that's going on at college as we come towards the end of this academic year. Trying to do some stuff in the hive, but not too much. Parenting, really attending to my children and enjoying them as well. And also looking after my self-care. And do I get it right all the time? Absolutely not. No. I quite often have periods of getting the balance pretty good, and then go into periods of getting it completely wrong and doing self-sabotaging behaviors and not looking after my self-care. So I'm seeking balance, and when I don't achieve it, I'm trying to bring myself some self-compassion. As I've said, these are trying times, and we don't have to be productive all the time. We don't have to be expecting ourselves to be as balanced, as focused as we would normally do, because it's really taxing emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. Trying to get through this pandemic and all the other challenges. I think we're doing well just to be here, really. And if you are just getting by, then well done. That's good enough at the moment. We're not superheroes. We're not robots. So I hope you're able to bring some self-compassion to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Talk to yourself like you would your best friend or a child that you love. I nearly said your favourite child, but we don't have favourite children, do we? Do we? I don't. So yeah, I'm noticing my unhelpful habits. I'm noticing when I'm doing my procrastination and self-sabotage and perfectionism and control and all that type of stuff coming in, and just being curious about it and trying to work out what's underneath it. Like I said, there's some deep work going on at college at the minute, and I've got in touch with some toxic shame, which I'm going to be working through for as long as it takes. And yeah, just again being kind, because exhaustion is a factor for many of us with this ongoing pandemic situation and all that entails. So I'm trusting that I can learn and grow from these experiences, but trying not to put any pressure on myself to be perfect and sort out what isn't going well immediately. Just being kind, really. So I hope you can be kind to yourself and those around you as well in these difficult times. And another thing that I'm finding useful is really noticing what I'm doing well and congratulating myself for the stuff that is working. So, for example, I'm getting outside every day. That's a kind of non-negotiable for me at the minute, whether it's just for a walk or to go for a run or a cycle or whatever it is. Getting outside, getting some fresh air, getting into nature, even when it's cold and rainy. And another thing that's going well, I seem to have a peaceful and balanced and joyful household at the moment. So yeah, it's easy to congratulate ourselves when things are going well and beat ourselves up when things are not going quite so well. But I think it's important to be grateful for the good stuff and to recognise what we are doing for our own holistic well-being and those around us as well, our wider communities. So I just want to share a bit of an insight that I've had. A couple of weeks ago, I ran a marathon, my first marathon, without any proper training or support, which perhaps wasn't the wisest thing to do, but it felt like a real meaningful experience for me. And having completed that, it's given me a real sense of belief and confidence and a real embodied sense of resilience and achievement, and a kind of belief that having overcome that significant mental and physical challenge, a feeling of I can do this, not just in a running sense, although it is kind of playing out when I go out for a shorter run now. I think, yeah, this is doable. I've run a marathon, I can do this. But it's transferring into other areas of my life, like my work and relationships, and just the feeling of I can get through this. And collectively, you know, we've been through one lockdown and we're going into another one now. And yes, it could well be harder because it's winter and maybe finances are stretched and other challenges that you need to face. But we've been through it once, so maybe you can take some resilience from that as well, some belief. And there was a moment in my marathon that I wrote about. I've posted it on the Hive if you want to have a look. But there were 3 hills that I had to navigate on that marathon, and the second one was the biggest and steepest hill. So I think it was about 25k in, and I thought, okay, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge. And I was surprised that when I got to the top, I had done it with relative ease. I won't say I breezed up it, but it was not as hard as I thought. And then I did a sharp turn, a kind of 180 turn, to run down a hill. And I noticed as I was running down the hill, there was a strong headwind, which was slowing me down and making me tired. And I thought, well, gosh, maybe that's why I got up the hill with relative ease. I must have had a tailwind at my back that I didn't notice at that time. And I thought that was quite a nice metaphor for life, really. That sometimes we do sail through challenges with a sense of flow and ease, and we overcome challenges, and we sometimes think, gosh, how did I get through that? I just kind of breezed through it. And maybe at times there's some kind of force supporting us, pushing us along that we might not acknowledge, we might not recognize and know it's there even. It could be an elemental force like a wind that's at our back. It could be support from our communities, such as this, or our friends, our families, or it could come from within us. It could be some strength that we have within ourselves that's driving us on through challenging times. I remember when my dad died and I had to go to France and sort out all his affairs, and with very little sleep over the course of several days, packed up all his stuff and sorted out all his financial affairs and stuff and arranged to get everything back to the UK. And I have no idea where my energy was coming from. But a lot of it was kind of resilience, the reserves within myself, and a lot of it was from asking for support from other people. And maybe there was a kind of higher power, some other force helping me along as well. But yeah, it's been really useful to notice that kind of metaphor of wind for me, and the fact that sometimes we'll have that behind us, helping us along. We might not notice it. And at other times, it'll be right in our face. It'll be slowing us down. It'll be exhausting us, sapping our energy, maybe making us feel that we can't do it, sapping our belief as well as our physical energy and our emotional resilience. So what can we do at that point? Maybe we can call on some support. Maybe we can ask for help. And as always, do reach out to the Hive if you want some support. Do ask your friends and family members if you are struggling. Don't be a martyr and feel like you can do this yourself, and I'm going to be really independent and strong, and I'm not going to ask anyone for help. But yeah, having some belief in yourself as well, knowing that you've got through it before. You've successfully navigated 100% of the challenges that you faced so far, including the last lockdown and everything else that you've been through. So you can do it again. And know that at some point in the future, you will turn a corner and you will have the wind at your back again. One of the hard things that people keep telling me about this pandemic is we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know if there's going to be another lockdown. Are schools going to close? Am I going to be furloughed? How long are we going to have to separate ourselves from vulnerable family members? It's tough. Not knowing is tough. But at some point, it will change. At some point, it will get better. And maybe vaccines will be developed and we will be able to go back to maybe some kind of normality. Maybe it will never be the same as it was before, but things will get easier. That is for sure. We just don't know when. So, the wind, we'll have the wind at our back. And another metaphor that I kind of concocted this morning was around sailors. So sailors who have their boats on the seas and they're at the whim of the elements, which way the tide is moving, which way the wind is blowing. And at times they will face storms. And what do they do at that point? Well, maybe they turn their sheets to the wind and they use the power of those strong winds to push them on, to get to their goals. Or maybe they take the sails down and they batten down the hatches and they go into hibernation mode and just wait for the storm to pass. And either of those approaches are equally valid. So whatever works for you, you might get energy from this lockdown. You might go inwards. You might connect with nature and use the peace to achieve something, learn a new skill, find out more about yourself, connect with your friends and family, connect with your environment, connect spiritually. Maybe you'll get some sense of faith from what's happening, some sense of trust that things are just as they are meant to be. Or maybe you will hibernate. It is the time of hibernation, and maybe you'll go underground and wrap yourself up in some nice warm blankets, put the fire on and make yourself some hearty stews. Whatever you choose to do, it's okay. And I'll just encourage you to ask for support when you need it. Connect with those who you feel might need some support, whether that's in this group, in your families, your wider networks. And we will get through this together. And maybe we can focus on what we're grateful for. So there is a gift in every experience, I feel, and maybe you can notice when the wind is at your back and be grateful for the things that this pandemic and the other world challenges and personal challenges that we're all facing at the moment, there is some gift in it that we can take. So that's that around checking in and well-being and the pandemic, and like I say, if you do want to take part in the poll, that would be good to see how you're feeling, and let's share our experience and support each other. So do be kind to yourself, be kind to those around you, reach out if you want some support, especially if you are alone, feeling depressed, lonely, isolated, overwhelmed, despairing. There is always hope. So please hang on to that hope and do reach out for support. Be kind to yourself as well as you go through these challenges. The other thing I wanted to mention was that in 2 weeks' time, Thursday the 19th of November, I'm pretty sure it's going to be, Rachel Warren has kindly offered to interview me. So we have got some other guests coming up in the Hive. We've got someone coming in on Monday, I believe, subject to confirmation. But yeah, Rachel is going to talk to me, and we're going to do a kind of ask me anything thing that a lot of celebrities are doing. And I was kind of in two minds about doing this. I thought, is this a bit self-obsessed, a bit narcissistic? But Rachel assures me that it could be useful for some people. It could be interesting. So if you have any questions, anything you want to ask me, or anything you want to contribute to that session, then please feel free to do so. So you can send me the questions, or you can message Rachel Warren, or just put them in the comments under this video. And everything is on limits. There's nothing off limits. I'm very open and honest, and promise to go there. So if you want to ask me anything, it's all good. So that's all for today. I do hope you're coping okay. And as I say, do please reach out if you want some support. We're all in this together. Hang on to hope. Hang on to the fact that we will turn a corner and the wind will be at our backs again. And do take care of yourselves and bring yourself some compassion as we go through these ongoing challenges. Okay, so that's all. Feel free to share any thoughts you have on this, and take care of yourselves. Good.